Before we get into this, would you please give ESPN credit? They aired a live sporting event. Hello?
Hello?
If we're gonna call it that. Of course, though, the internet is all people sitting on their couch complaining. Here's how the NBA horse competition was filmed. The Blair Hoops Project. Me trying to watch this spotty Wi-Fi horse tournament. Everybody's got jokes. Those are actually pretty hilarious. Even JJ Redick was off it. Horse could not be worse. I gave it 5 minutes, hard pass. Jeez. He's actually kind of getting killed for saying that. This would be, right now, the end of the regular season, heading into the playoffs, and no one knows when or if the NBA is coming back. Seriously, if you hear anyone say, we know the NBA's plan right now, no one knows. That is the truth. So for now, we've got horse. In this video, I'm gonna break down the 5 things that I saw that not enough people are talking about in the NBA horse tournament. Hey guys, it's Casey Kiernan, host of the AM Hoops YouTube channel. Hit subscribe and hit notifications. It really helps out the channel. We've got no games going on. We've got horse going on. Still though, coming out with 5 NBA videos per week. Let's start with number 5. Yes, it sucked, but there are ways to fix this horse tournament. Like matching up players with a similar setup. I mean, game number 1 was Trae Young against Chauncey Billups. We know at this point in their lives, Trae Young is better, but who won? Mr. Big Shot. Look at Trae's hoop. It's literally like every hoop in my neighborhood. This thing is sad. The rim is slightly bent. It's definitely not 10 feet tall, which Chauncey talked a lot of trash about. And Trae had to shoot from the dirt at one point. Even worse than that was Hall of Famer Tamika Catchings against Mike Conley. This tweet perfectly sums it up. Tamika is outside in the wind, in the cold. She's blowing on her hands while Mike Conley is inside in his big, nice court with a smile on his face, all warm and cozy. Pretty clear who makes $34 million a year. You can hear the wind in the background on some of her shots.
Uh-oh. All right.
What they should have done is match up Tamika with Trae and Conley with Billups to make it a little more fair. And of course, the 2 guys with legit courts will play in the next round. Number 4, everyone's complaining, but we should really appreciate some of the stories that we got. Honestly, forget the actual horse competition. The best part about this whole thing were the stories. First of all, Trae Young gave out his phone number.
Stay connected with the fans and things like that as this time's going on.
You can text him and he'll text you back. But I'm not hearing enough people talk about that Kevin Garnett story that Zach LaVine told. Both Zach and Paul Pierce played with Kevin Garnett. They each told a story. But Zach LaVine told this story about his rookie year when KG was traded back to Minnesota, and it perfectly summarizes what made KG, KG.
So I always pat myself on being a hard worker. So I came into the gym one night, and it's about 8:30 at night. You know, I'm coming back to get some shots. I'm 19, rookie. And this is right when he got traded there, and he had a Rolls Royce Phantom. I ain't never seen one before, so I knew it was somebody different. So I go into the gym, and he, you know, this is KG, 40 years old, doing sprints up and down the floor.
Wow.
It's like the first week, and it was just crazy. He was my vet too, P. I know I'm not as close to, you know, as you are guys, but that was my guy, man. I'm happy for him.
On the emotional side of things, Tamika Catchings told this story about growing up with Kobe in Italy, them having their careers run parallel next to each other, and now going into the Hall of Fame in the exact same class.
We were so young back then. I mean, I was in 1st grade, he was in 2nd grade. You know, for us, it really was just about family time. And, you know, most people know in Italy, they're not really focused on basketball like we are here in the States. So we had a lot of soccer games going on, a lot of running around and all that. But, you know, I think the coolest thing when you just look at our path to the NBA and WNBA and, you know, how our lives have kind of intertwined between that and the Olympics and just the things that really matter to us.
My point is here, I see nothing but negative talk on the internet about the horse tournament, but the actual broadcast wasn't all bad because those stories were great. Number 3, Trae Young was a huge disappointment. All right, now I'm getting negative. Everything about Trae Young's appearance on this thing was disappointing. His hoop, maybe the worst one of the entire tournament. He tweeted out just before, half-court shots only. Did he do a single half-court shot? No. This is what we feared about this whole thing. Boring shots making for boring television. He must have gone to that left-handed free throw 4 times. He even said at one point, I didn't want to risk a long 3 today. What? That's why we wanted to see him in the tournament. Look, admittedly, I am not the biggest Trae Young fan. I am not the president of the Trae Young fan club, but I was excited to see him in a horse tournament. It was like, yes, we're gonna get to see some really exciting, unbelievable shots that I couldn't do. Instead, we got really boring shots. I will go as far as to say that ESPN totally messed up putting the Trae Young Chauncey Billups matchup first on this broadcast. This was not a live event. They could have put CP3 and Allie Quigley first, or Zach LaVine and Paul Pierce. Instead, they went with Trae Young, and 5 minutes in, people were over it. Number 2, people like to complain, but give props to Zach LaVine and Paul Pierce. They knew how to do this horse tournament right. Honestly, this is who they should have led the show with. I think the entire conversation about this horse tournament would be different if we got LaVine against Pierce right off the top of the show. I don't even care that it was a sweep for Zach LaVine. This isn't really about the competition. We don't really care about horse. We want to be entertained, and that's what this matchup was. These guys were great from the very start. We already talked about LaVine's KG story, but Paul Pierce was fun to listen to.
Oh, man. Hey, listen, I'm in LA. I'm the only person in all of Los Angeles with a logo on this court. This is special. You don't have this in LA. Everybody court I go to, all these rich people out here got Laker logos on their court. So, you know, I'm a Celtic for life.
This tweet perfectly summed it up. Paul Pierce was born to be a retired basketball player. He is awesome. LaVine knew how to make his shots entertaining too. One rule here is you can't dunk, which is what Zach LaVine does best, obviously. So he got as close to dunking as possible within the rules. Some of the shots were so damn athletic, Paul Pierce didn't even really try, and it was hilarious. This was one of the bigger mismatches in terms of skill because Paul Pierce was so much worse than Zach LaVine, but it was my favorite. Because again, entertainment was the bottom line here. And one of the more entertaining parts of the entire show, honestly, was getting to see the behind the scenes of Paul Pierce and Zach LaVine at their houses. Paul Pierce basically has what we would all hope for if we made millions of dollars. The coolest man cave ever. He's got a 2-lane bowling alley. He's got all of his jerseys there on the wall. So that's what a retired NBA millionaire's setup looks like. What about a current NBA millionaire? Well, Zach LaVine, who loves baseball, was a 2-sport athlete in high school, a batting cage setup right next to his basketball court. Those two were great because they didn't take it too seriously. The shots and the interviews were awesome. And the number one thing that people didn't notice apparently, that I'm not hearing enough of, is how good of a job ESPN and the NBA actually did. Give them credit. Given the circumstances, they put something on for all of us to watch. What did people expect? It is a horse tournament. Yes, some of it could have been executed better, as hopefully I've laid out here for you. The video was definitely grainy and hard to watch at times, but all the money is going to charity. What are we all doing anyway? I mean, the people who complain, what are you doing with your valuable time at 7 Eastern on a Sunday night? The biggest proof of how stupid the complainers are is all the people on the internet who said it sucked, it was hard to watch. They're all gonna complain again on Thursday when they tune in to see who wins. The situation was this, to be clear. They had to find players who had a hoop at their house. Not everyone does, believe it or not. They don't want to be around basketball 24/7. Then they had to recruit their family members to film who are not trained camera people. We're used to seeing professional camera work on ESPN. Now we can appreciate what they do. Then they had to film on their phones, either with Wi-Fi or 4G or 5G or whatever it is now. Of course, it isn't gonna be iPhone quality video like you see on your phone. They had to actually be on a video call like FaceTime, and that takes the quality way down. I mean, the broadcast wasn't live, but they had to film the matchups live. That's how it works. They even had screens set up at these people's homes to be able to watch back the shot the other person was taking. Considering all the obstacles ESPN had to deal with, I'm actually impressed that they got this thing on the air and it wasn't a complete circus. The thing actually flowed. I know the internet, and especially Twitter, is a really easy place to complain, so I really didn't expect anything less. But there were actually some good parts about this horse tournament that apparently people didn't notice. And after all, we can be that much more grateful and thankful and appreciate our actual sports when they come back. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.